So, I'm a telephone customer service representative for a major telecommunications company in Canada. And as a result, I get calls from every walk of people from every walk of life because literally everyone has a cell phone, right? Well, not like literally, but you know what I mean. Like most people have a cell phone of some sort nowadays, okay? Right? Like let's be real. And so today I get a call from a lady, and she gave me permission to use her story, so don't even about that. But for legal reasons, I'm not sure if I can use her name, so I'm just gonna call her Laura. And Laura calls in today for various reasons for her account, so I'm helping her out with it. And eventually the conversation turns to canceling one of the phone numbers on the account. She's got multiple. And because there are multiple, I'm wondering to myself, what is it about this particular cell phone number that she wants to cancel it? So I ask her, what's up, right? And she tells me the whole story, where basically this particular phone number on her account, she bought it for her son. Let's call him Bob. And he's 24 years old, and as a grown adult, she figures he should be able to contribute at least a little bit by paying her every month for his cell phone bill. And so she's been telling him about it and talking to him about it and communicating her expectation for it seems like a few months now, and he just has not been doing it. He's been agreeing to it, he's been saying he's gonna do it, and he just zero follow through, right? And Laura is so fed up at this point because talking doesn't seem to go anywhere that she's asking me how to just straight up cancel this phone number because clearly talking isn't working. And I'm listening to her and I'm like, man, isn't this so emblematic of every frustration that I've of every relationship that I've had with a man, where at some point or other I'm talking to him trying to communicate my needs, and he listens, he says he's gonna do it, and just no follow through. So I guess the social warrior justice in me, social justice warrior in me comes out. And I'm like, ma'am, I don't even know. If you want me to cancel this number, I will. But I'm not entirely sure that that's the best move here. And she goes why is that? And I'm like, well, realistically, we're not trying to make this kid's life miserable. What we're trying to do is just make him be an accountable person who pays his bills on time. And you don't need to cancel his number to do that. All you really need to do is just put a temporary suspension on his line so that, let's say we put one in today, so it's effective for tomorrow because he hasn't paid you money for the bill. And so I just I click one button, temporary suspension up, and then tomorrow he's gonna find out pretty quickly that he does not have a working cell phone. And what 24-year-old person is gonna put up with that, right? So eventually I'm assuming that this guy is gonna come to you and be like, hey mom, why isn't my cell phone working? And then at that point I would just say, hey, maybe that's what happens when you don't pay your bills on time. And at that point he's gonna do one of two things. He's gonna either realize that he kind of deserves it and just pay the money and be a grown adult, or he's gonna have a bit of a tantrum and just think that it's so unfair, blah blah blah. But either way, eventually he's probably gonna pay the bill. And the beauty with the temporary suspension is the moment he pays the bill, Laura, you can just call back in and be like, hey, remove the temporary suspension, we good. And then that way it's also a really quick positive reinforcement thing, because you don't want to delay the reward for him doing the good behavior, right? You want to reward him as soon as possible so that he gets that idea in his head, oh yeah, paying my bill on time is a good thing. And then she's like, oh, and that's such a good idea. And she and we're going through with the temporary suspension, and then she's like, oh, and then I can use this opportunity to hammer home the idea that he should just get his own account because I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm like, no, Laura, do not do that. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because again, this is so emblematic of my issue with so many men that I've tried to date, where the thing is, I understand that to Laura, her son is her baby boy. Like, I get it. That's very much a maternal instinct. Like, we all get that, right? But the problem is, in my opinion, is like, if you have a son and you're raising him as your baby boy, then that's the mental image or construct that he has of himself. So as time goes on, he doesn't become a man, he just becomes an older, larger baby boy. And as a single woman, dating heterosexual men, that is a recurring frustration that I've had with multiple men that I wish I didn't have to deal with. Because the thing is, just from a completely objective perspective, I don't want to have to date a dude who I have to tell, hey, Bob, you need to go get your own cell phone account. I want to date a man who can figure that out for himself and then go do it without me having to say anything. So I'm telling Laura at this point, like, look, this is the thing. You're saying that eventually he's gonna grow up and he's gonna date a woman and like he's gonna figure this out. And I'm telling you no, because nowadays, like, at least for me and like fairly frequently, I don't find a whole lot of women who are sitting there wanting to be a partner to a larger, older baby boy. We don't want to date a baby boy. We want to date a man. So I'm telling Laura, like, don't tell your son to go get his own cell phone account. Let him figure that out on his own, because that's going to prepare him to have the right mentality to take initiative and solve problems. Because if you, as his mother, keep telling him what he needs to do, you're only going to set him up to need a partner, to need that from his future partner. And I don't know a whole lot of women who find that sexy or appealing.